Right. We can do this. Kind of BS breakfast whiskey was made for. Anyway, Mr. Touchy-ass feely, shady-ass governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, is still refusing to resign even after a damning report by the Attorney General Letitia James. The report citing Cuomo harassed multiple women and created a toxic and hostile environment for women, showing Cuomo had engaged in unwanted groping, kissing, hugging, and making inappropriate comments. Now, interestingly enough, it's not the first time one of the lawyers James hired to lead the probe, Ann Clark, noted that the Albany Police Department had already been notified by Cuomo's office about an accusation that he groped a female aide in his executive mansion in Albany last year. Corruption, part and parcel of the Democratic Party. But anyway, moving along. There's been quite the mountain of evidence gathered from 179 witnesses, including written notes, emails, and text messages documenting the alleged behavior. Cuomo responded by suggesting he was the victim of a smear campaign. You're being accused of sexually harassing women, and you're going with the phrase, victim of. Oh man, optically that just looks so bad. Fortunately, the polling shows the public isn't buying it, saying 70% of New Yorkers surveyed are telling him to step down. Cuomo, however, isn't budging, saying the report was unfair, wrong, and that he had been ambushed. Cuomo actually showed a montage of him kissing and touching people as a defense against the allegations, which is one of the stupidest attempts at a defense I have ever seen, as if we're all the same in public as in private. Who told him this was a good idea? But really, is anyone actually surprised he isn't going to step down? Inappropriate conduct is part of the Democratic Party's 10 Commandments, for heaven's sakes. Right up there with lie your ass off and mishandle money, seeing as he used nearly $300 grand in campaign funds to pay for an attorney regarding sexual harassment allegations. Besides, if previous Democratic presidents are anything to go by, he's got a really good shot at being the 2024 Democratic nominee. I've noticed the White House is oddly quiet and reluctant to weigh in on the issue. Presumably because Creepy Joe has an arsenal of compilations all over the internet of his wildly inappropriate behavior, and he'd look like a royal git if he even said a word. Can you imagine him being blindsided about misconduct involving women, going off the script? Oh, it would be a train wreck dumpster fire. I'll bet his aides could break the sound barrier rushing in trying to get him away from that situation. Oh, the comedy. Speaking of comedy, watching the mainstream corporate press try and spin this is hilarious, deranged, and insane. MSNBC's Joy Reid is a textbook example of why the US media has the lowest trustworthy rating in the world. Not only do they say nothing of any of the issues, address no allegations, no names, nada, nothing. Instead, like a drunken contortionist, they desperately try and cram Trump's name into this somehow. So the first thing this woman talks about is the vaccine mandate coming out of New York City, saying it's likely going to save the city's economy. Please explain to me how the same guy who shut down the economy in the first place is somehow going to rejuvenate it with a communist-style papers, please sort of regime. So aside from not knowing anything about politics, you know nothing about economics either. God bless America, the country where you can be a talentless hack, know nothing about anything, be a complete moron, and still somehow end up on television making a six-figure salary. I'm not going to play the clip, you lot don't deserve the punishment, you're good people. And frankly, I like my blood in my body not shooting out of my ears. The first thing they talk about with regards to Cuomo is Republican hypocrisy not calling out Clarence Thomas or Brett Kavanaugh. Let me explain something about the Democrats. They are power-hungry psychopaths. They have no morals, no principles. Their entire ethos is by any means necessary. As a result, they adhere to no standards. They throw on a mask when the camera is on. In Clinton's case, they'll put on a whole new face. They switch positions during election season. They will do anything when it is politically convenient. Because this is how it works for Democrats. If you're politically useful, you're essentially bulletproof. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. But they will keep tabs on you and cram your closet with every skeleton you've made. And the second you are no longer convenient, oh, it will rain down on you like fucking Judgment Day. Far as Thomas and Kavanaugh is concerned, their allegations were just that, allegations. And notice they only came to the surface just as they were about to be elevated to the Supreme Court. Before that, no one said shit. And the episode with Kavanaugh, which was decades ago and there was no solid evidence at all, did you hear anything more of it the moment after he was sworn in? Nope, it dropped like a fucking anchor. Goes to show you, it's just a cheap smear attempt, bad theater. Anyway, back to Joy Reid, who's practically foaming at the mouth at this point because she gets to try and smear Trump, claiming Cuomo did a better job than Trump with COVID. Now listen here, poopsikins. Are you listening? Because I know you live in this iron dome of moron with your Yas Queen slay attitude when no one checks your stupid opinions because you're a black female. But on my time, I'll take you to school, a place you've clearly never been to, so allow me to fill you in on how the US government works. Try and follow me on this. You have state and federal government. And Trump, like a good Republican who adheres to the Constitution, is not going to overstep his power and tell each state how to govern. You asinine morons called Trump xenophobic because he wanted to close the country to China, the country that spawned the stupid thing. Meanwhile, the southern border is more porous than Biden's fucking skull. You say Trump didn't handle it well, but Cuomo is a good crisis manager. How? I saw one comment said, yes, he is a good crisis manager. He's managed to make so many. That's really good. But how? Even though he had the worst COVID deaths in the entire fucking union. How in the name of holy zombie Moses do you call that good crisis management? What is your metric for good? If Trump did more, he'd be called a fascist, more than he already was. If he does too little, he's not a good statesman. There is no winning with these people. They are miserable bastards who need something from the other side to blame their failures on. Because having something to bitch about is the only thing that drives their ratings. And then this woman said the stupidest, most arrogant, hypocritical thing I have heard on TV, I think ever. This asshole literally said only Democrats hold themselves to a higher moral standard. 2 minutes ago, she said if Cuomo decides to just thug it out, her words, then it's the fault of Republicans. How do you claim to have a higher moral standard than the other side, but if you misbehave, it is their fault and you can just say fuck it because the Republicans do it as well? There is zero logic in that. Oh yeah, just fuck the woman Cuomo felt up. Who cares about them? Because Republicans, right? Is this the kind of shit that normies watch? No wonder they're all off their fucking rocker. And that's all for today. Until next time. Man, I need a drink.